What's up, guys? No one's watching yet, but you will be soon. And I'm just going to be doing Game Boy stuff for the beginning. But then I will look at the comments, and I'll answer all the dropshipping related. Huh? Okay, cool. Well, I don't know what happened there. I need to remember to put my phone into airplane mode. But I realized the last live stream I did, my phone wasn't on Wi-Fi at all. So now it's actually on Wi-Fi. So hopefully the video quality is better. I'm not actually sure, but we'll see. So I gotta take my computer to the chat. Here we go. Hey, cool. Okay. What's up, Chad? What's up, Gabby? So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my Game Boy project first. And this is actually relevant to eBay. So I'm trying to focus on making individual listings that create sales for physical products, okay? Not drop-shipped products. I really want to make and mod Game Boys again. So first, let me explain what I used to do. I used to sell them on eBay. I would buy Game Boys, like these Game Boys, the first Game Boy, right? It looks like this kind of, except the screen's not normally black like this. It's normally gray. You can get these broken for $10, good condition for $30. So between 10 and 30 bucks, depending on what you're going for. And it's possible to make like a perfect Game Boy out of two broken ones in some situations, right? And so what I used to do is I would just buy tons and tons and tons and tons of them, and then they'd go into a pile, basically, and then I'd just try and fix them and work with them and play with them, and it was really fun. But the main thing that I would do is I would get working ones, and then I would perform a backlight mod. So these original Game Boys, when you turn them on, like, there is no lights. This was before, like, all screens now have a light, yeah? That was not a thing back then, right? So it makes it kind of hard to play. Like, you have to be directly under a light in order to see all the pixels properly. But if you're outside or in really dark environment, it's genuinely kind of hard to use the Game Boy. So adding a backlight makes it feel much more like modern, if that makes sense, but you still get the fact that it's a Game Boy. You still get that experience. And you get to solder stuff. And that's what's cool, because you can buy these kits to backlight it for like $10. And then there's some other mods. There's a bunch of mods that you can do. I performed 2 mods on the Game Boys. A backlit mod and then a bivert mod. And it just kind of makes the screen more crisp, right? But so what I'm trying to focus on is variations. Back when I used to make these Game Boys, I experimented a lot with different ways to publish them on eBay. I tried selling them with auctions. I tried using buy it now listings. Specifically, I tried to do 30-day listings. At first, I thought that it was better to have individual listings for every single Game Boy, because then people can see exactly what it looks like, and they know exactly what damage it has, or scuffs, and all of that kind of stuff, right? But what I found out was that that's actually quite an inefficient way to sell them, because it means that you have to make a new listing for every single Game Boy. And the reality is that the best way is with a good till canceled listing, that you post once, and then every time that it sells, the listing itself gets pushed further in search results. So using good till canceled listings enables you to create sales that weren't necessarily going to happen otherwise, right? And what I found is that using good till canceled listings with the Game Boys, it would take a month or two for everything to kind of kick and hit in, right? So for a month, the first month of the ad being live, I might sell like 15. Sorry, I don't know why I said 15. I might sell like between 1 and 3 Game Boys, right? But then after the 3rd or 4th month, then it might be up between like 5 and 10. And then the most I ever sold in 1 month was 15. So what I learned really is that the best way is absolutely, both for time and profit, is to have one listing. And so now I'm trying to revisit this concept and apply everything that I've learned from all of my dropshipping experience and try and just get back into it, right? Because now I have you guys, I have a YouTube audience, and that's something that, like, in the past I identified that I just didn't really have anybody to interact with the Gameboys, right? There's not enough people going to eBay buying Gameboys alone to make a good amount of money doing it, right? But if it can become more than that, like if it becomes a way for my audience to interact with me and I can like sign them and have that kind of thing, that'd be pretty cool, and I like the idea of that a lot. So that's something I'm like looking into, right? And I especially like the idea of incorporating this part of me somehow into my YouTube channel, because the goal is that I just identify everything that makes me happy and then I do videos about it. And that's like, because then if I'm happy in the videos are just much better. If I'm enjoying myself, then they're more fun to watch, you know? So like sometimes it's kind of hard to predict what I'm gonna enjoy months from now, right? Versus like what I enjoy now. And that's why I have that kind of like casual nature to this YouTube channel. I don't want to push it to grow really quick. I don't want to have to be a certain way. I want to just be able to be myself and have fun making videos, you know? So that's why I'm doing these Game Boy videos. But my point is that I'm applying new things into something I used to do, right? And the main thing that I'm going to do differently is set up variations for my Game Boy listings. So before, I would have multiple good till canceled listings. Like at the peak of the Game Boy stuff, when I was modding most of them, I had like 3 main good till canceled listings, and it was for one of these. This is just the basic color with a backlight, a green one with a backlight, and a black one with a backlight. The colored ones are harder to find, they're just rarer, but they generally aren't that much more expensive. So I had a couple of them lying around. But what I understand now is that I need to put all of this into one listing, because that way, when any of those products available in that one listing sells, then it pushes the whole listing up, right? So if I have 4 or 10 different kinds of Game Boys that people can buy, then it really increases the chances that I'm going to build this really popular Game Boy listing on eBay, right? So the main thing that I've been doing, and this kind of stems from my practice with variations from physically reselling stuff, right? Which is what all of this kind of stuff is. And I've been experimenting more with those variations. And so now I have to identify all the different possible variations I can use with the Game Boy work, right? So there's pretty simple things, right? Like colors, I can do different backlights. Like we have white backlights, orange backlights, blue backlights, green backlights. So that alone is like 7 different variations. But then there's also some kind of more intuitive things that aren't as obvious, right? Like I can add another option that's like, all right, the Game Boy has a battery option. So you can pick if it doesn't come with any batteries, which is cheaper, or it comes with 4 AA batteries, or it comes with 4 rechargeable batteries and a charger, right? Because these Game Boys go through batteries pretty quickly. They're like big clunky units, right? They're old. Especially if like you're playing a Pokemon game, you're gonna go through batteries. But some people who get them just want them for more of the nostalgia factor, right? And in that case, if you're not going to use it, it's actually a really, really bad idea to store it in batteries. Because like, okay, I've looked at like, I've opened over 300 Game Boys. So I've seen a lot of the typical kinds of damage that happen. And almost all of the damage stems from corrosion caused by batteries being left in the battery compartment. I don't know if you guys have seen corrosion on a circuit board before, but it looks a lot like mold or fungus or infection. It's really fascinating how it's like this entity almost. It's not alive, but it almost is, right? It's really cool. But yeah, all the damage, almost all of it, comes from leaving batteries in Game Boys. If you don't have the battery in there, Game Boys last so long. It's insane. Like, absolutely insane. And there are some that have obviously been through, like, car crashes, crazy crap, right? And then you don't think that they're going to work, and they actually do. It's amazing. They were made to be, like, pretty sturdy. But anyway, so now I've ranted a bit about Game Boy stuff. I've got that out of my system. So I'm going to look at the chat, okay? So I'm going to scroll up. Bum, ba, bum. What's up, Chad? Fear Doves, Waldor, Club Red, and Street Day. If any of you are still here. How are you guys doing? Bum, 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 bum. Waldor asked if I have ever been with a guy in an intimate way. Not normally. I'm normally like completely straight, but I'm very close to Lucas, who I don't know if I've ever been on video with Lucas. But he's like the kind of friendship that when I'm around him, like we know what the other person's thinking. It's really fun to hang out with other people and Lucas because we have like a dynamic, and it's a really solid relationship. And it would be lying to say that I've never been attracted to Lucas, but a lot of that comes from just how close to him and how alike we are as people, not that he's a guy, if that makes sense. Like, I have a lot of thoughts about that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to get too much into that. Can you dropship video games or electronics? You shouldn't really. You shouldn't dropship video games, but you can try to. It's just they don't sell very well, and there's a lot of companies that don't want you dropshipping their like latest video games. I honestly I've never tried it too much because I had a few initial problems and then I didn't look into it further. So maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's just like anything else, and there's a couple products you need to avoid, but in general you can make money from it. I'm not sure. So Fear Dabs is asking why the course is $20. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that, because that could mean that you think it should be free and it's $20, or it could mean that you think it should be more expensive and it's $20. I'm not sure. Oh, you guys can hear me, but the video... Let me look at the thing real quick. Because it said low battery. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully that fixed the audio. Yeah, it's because the battery is low. There's a laptop right here that I can plug in. The problem...
Make your computer easier to use.
The problem
Read and scan this list automatically.
is that I don't know the password to it, so it's stuck on the login system. So now it's narrating all the options, which is inconvenient.
Hear text on screen aloud.
Whatever.
Magnifier.
Alright.
Make items on the screen larger. On-screen keyboard. Type without the keyboard.
I'm going to wait for it to finish.
High contrast. See more contrast in colors. Sticky keys. Press keyboard shortcuts one key at a time. Filter keys. If I press keys repeatedly, ignore extra presses. Narrator. Hear text on screen aloud.
It's got a lot of options.
Magnifier. Make items on the screen larger. On-screen keyboard.
It's not looping through.
Type without the keyboard.
Come on.
High contrast. See more contrast in colors.
Stop. Wait. Did that work? Huh. Okay. That was way easier than I thought. Apologies. Alright, so the course is $20 because it's really important to me, like, on one hand, I want to earn money, and I want to, like, I really love the idea of exposing myself to information and then bringing that information closer to the people in general. So, like, me going through the harder work of figuring out what the information is and then making it easy for other people. And I try and revolve my life around that concept. So it's important that I monetize it a little bit so that I benefit, but at the same time, I would much, much, much rather earn the same amount of money or less money and reach hundreds of times as many people as I would earn way more money but reach way less people, right? Because for me, it's all about kind of community, and like that's a recurring theme in my life, is that when you work with other people and you do good things for other people and you surround yourself and spend time with people who you help and who help you, that you just like, you can't even fathom what that does to your future. Like when people say things like having a 4-year plan, 10-year plan, that kind of thing, like if you do right by communities, you literally cannot even comprehend how different your life will be 4 or 5 years from now. Just because of the fact that you can't predict how other people are going to interact and bring crazy opportunity that you can't even fathom right now into your life, right? Because there's a lot of times in life where you go into like a different tier. Like for me, for example, when I used to work at Starbucks, I feel like I was in a different tier then, because like while I was learning to do e-commerce stuff and online stuff, and I liked YouTube and that kind of thing, ultimately I was spending most of my time doing retail work. And that was just like, at that time, all I wanted was to not have a job, right? Like, I mean, I just wanted to not do retail work. That's all I really cared about. But I didn't understand, I had no idea that I would be able to leave it so soon, and because of the willingness to go to a foreign country and then meet people there, and going to Thailand in 6 months, and like I couldn't comprehend that I would become involved in international communities back then. I had no idea about that. But now I'm starting to understand that that is the most likely direction that my life is going in, is figuring out, like, is kind of establishing these multiple bases. And the reason that I'm talking to you about this is, I understand this is kind of a tangent from asking why the course is $20, but for me it's really about like exposure and showing people that it's more about your lifestyle than it is about knowing the secrets or knowing the tricks or like knowing the winning product and that kind of thing. And I want to show more people that. And I believe that the information, you should have to pay a little bit, but at the same, you should have to pay for convenient information, but you should also have access to inconvenient free information. And in my mind, YouTube is inconvenient free information, and then courses are convenient paid information. I think it's important to do both, because the reality is there's a lot of different people in the world, right? And if you can open yourself up to the whole world, then amazing things can potentially happen. Whereas if you just limit yourself to the people that you know and that you're around, then like there's only so much that can happen, you know, and it's unlikely you're going to get lucky or have some crazy event happen that changes your life. I don't know how to explain it, but I just believe that getting involved with more people is better. So I'd rather more people have access to the course, and like pretty much anybody anywhere in the world can afford $20. Some places you would have to save up that money in order to get it. But it's important to me as well that I think about my life and I make sure that the course is affordable for me at any point in my life prior to where I am now. Because I'm not wealthy now, but I am, like, when it comes to free time, I have infinite free time. I have as much free time as you can possibly have, basically. I have an hour of commitments each day that I absolutely have to do, and even that's debatable. It's between like 30 minutes or an hour if I really boil it down to this stuff I absolutely have to do no matter what. It's really not that much work at all, right? And so for me, like when I'm talking about being in a different lifestyle, it's not that I'm rich or that I have a lot of money or anything like that. It's that I've understood that there's this definite balance, and if you are willing to give up a lot of the material things that you hold on to, it's so much more likely that you can get yourself to a point where like you can have pretty much any material thing that you want. You have to like change your mindset first, and that's a bit of a tangent. I apologize. So, all right, what's up? Wildor says, can you please add a section in your course about how to get tax exemption? Yeah, so I'm hesitant about that just because like I can get in trouble for supplying what could be considered by some people as tax advice. And also, it like tax exemption is a bit misleading because it's not like you just don't have to pay the tax. You still have to pay a lot of the taxes that you get exemption from. It's really not that simple. Like if you're talking about being a completely legit legal business, like you don't have to pay sales and use tax to most states, but that's like changing. Like there's stuff in the courts because the states are realizing that there is buttloads of money, like tons of money in e-commerce, and it's not getting taxed. And I know that as e-commerce people, we're used to that. So we want that. We've dedicated our businesses to it. But the reality is if these state governments want to do well, they need to monetize the fact that e-commerce businesses earn a lot of money. Like that is what they have to do. So like you can get angry about it and that kind of stuff, but the reality is that's how society works, you know? It's actually kind of beneficial for the government to not be in as much debt as long as they're not making it impossible to do an e-commerce business. But the problem with this is that you're always going to hear people bitching and moaning, like constantly, which sucks. Anyway, all right. Then Edwin says, what kind of tasks do you do with the macro recorder? Oh wow. That's an interesting question, actually. So it's not until recently that I've gotten what I would consider adept at using macros. Back when I used to use them before, one of the prohibitive things about using macros, it would often take me a while to make the macro and get it working properly. Now that I've learned how to do it, I'm much better about that. And ultimately what it boils down to is you want to keep your macros as simple as possible and accomplish tasks by repeating specific tasks on loops. You don't want a long, convoluted macro. In fact, you want as few commands as possible. You want to keep it as simplistic as possible. So most of the stuff that I use macros for is anytime I'm working with a large amount of URLs or tabs. Like, the way that I used to make items, or make lists of items, is that I would find search results, and then I would click a button, and that button opens up 50 pages of search results. And there's 20 items on each page. So then I would make a macro that has, I have this Chrome window with 50 tabs, right? So I'd make a macro that goes from one tab and then clicks on an extension that pulls every URL of the page and then goes to the next tab, right? So you then loop the whole macro through all of that, and instead of having 20 pages, you now have 40 pages, one of which you don't need, half of which you don't need, and half of which have all of the URLs on the entire web page, which is too much, right? So then you do another macro where you delete the first page because you no longer need it, and then you get to the page with all of the URLs, and you filter them by typing /IP or some string of text, right? And then that identifies every link in the document that contains that text. So that's how you isolate the URLs. And so then you just do the macro to repeat that loop throughout the whole document, and it closes everything, and you end up with, the macro would also copy and paste the URLs into a document as well, right? So it would delete the old page, copy or change the filter to see just the right links, copy those, close that tab, put it in a new thing, and then go back and repeat. So it goes boom, 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 repeat, boom, 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 repeat, boom, 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 repeat. And that's what I use most of my macros for. Nowadays, it's just anytime I have a repetitive process. So basically anytime I have more than 10 tabs open, I use macros. Otherwise, I don't use a macro. But now, like, I very rarely have to remake the macros anymore. So it usually only takes, like, maybe 30 or 40 seconds to make the macro, because I understand all the systems and what I want and that kind of thing now. So now it's a much more efficient time saver than it used to be, for sure. Boom, boom. Alright, sweet. That's all the chats. Awesome. Let me make sure that my phone hasn't, Oh, look at that. It's still recording and stuff. Okay, cool. Okay, so now I'm gonna get back to Game Boy stuff. Oh wait, I have some stuff to show you guys. So I got an Amazon package, right? I paid like $200. Oh, that's another thing I need to do a video about. I haven't done that yet. But you can buy Amazon accounts on Card Bazaar that come with like $1,000 in gift cards loaded, and they cost like $900. So you can get them 10% off, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. So I did that recently, and I went through the whole process, and yeah, it actually worked. It was pretty cool. But I'll do another separate video about that. For now, I gotta grab something, and then I'll be right back. Okay. Alright, sweet. So I grabbed two things. One thing is just to show you guys for kicks. This is a bag of tea. I really love tea. This is my favorite brand of tea. If I could be sponsored by PG Tips, I would jump on that sponsorship in a heartbeat, but I'm not. But I'm really happy because I got this. It's 1,000 tea bags, and it was $30. That's amazing. This didn't used to be available, and I would buy like multi-packs of 240. But this just came out, or has been out, I don't know, and it's literally half the price. So for what I used to pay to get like 500 tea bags, now I get almost 1,200 tea bags, which is amazing, but that was a side note. And I think I'm standing too close to the camera. This is what I was getting. So what I need to do is I need to establish the starting point for this Game Boy listing. Because over time I'm going to add more and more and more variations to it so that more potential, for higher potential to push up in search results, right? But I need a starting point. I need something I can start now so the listing exists and it's building viewership, right? So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to establish what the basic starting point of the listing is. So they need to be able to buy a regular Game Boy. And at this point, all that I've done is bought the Game Boy, checked it to make sure it works, cleaned it, and then sold it. I want to be able to sell every point of the modding process, right? So if you imagine you're going to mod a Game Boy, you buy a Game Boy, so you have to start off with a working Game Boy, unless you're making it out of broken Game Boys. But in general, you have a working Game Boy. You got to test it, make sure it's working. Okay, so at that point, it's a potential for one product. Then I add a glass screen. Okay, at that point, technically, second product. Then open it up, do the mod, right? Then it's a third product. But if I just do the mods, I'm naturally going to have regular Game Boys around throughout the life cycle that gets it to the mod, right? So it makes sense for me to also sell the previous stages in that Game Boy's life cycle because I'm going to have access to them. So it's no extra work for me to sell it, right? So that's the first thing that's going to happen is have the basic Game Boy and then glass screen and then a backlit option, right? And then also all the colors. And then I'm going to add another section where you can pick the batteries. And that's what these are. So you can either pick if you want regular batteries, like just AA's, or no batteries. Or, in the future, rechargeable batteries. Because I can get like a recharge pack and like 8 batteries or something like that for like $10 or $15 or something. So I would basically just add that as a cost to the Game Boy. So within the listing, you could spend $60 and just get a regular Game Boy, or you could spend up to like $160 and get like the fanciest one the listing offers with like fancy batteries and that kind of thing, right? But the idea is that you have kind of like a wide varying price point for a whole lot of different people and that kind of thing. But it's great. So you can buy AA batteries now, right? Like this whole box of 200 batteries. I think it's 200. Let's see. Amazon Basics. Do you have a count here? 200? No? Amazon Basics. Nah, it doesn't say anything about it. I guess I'd have to look in the actual package. Oy vey. Oh, hey, here we go. No, this is actually 100. Sorry, that's right, because it was either 48 or 100. This is 100 batteries, and it cost me $24. So that's 24 cents per battery, right? That means that including all 4 of these batteries in a Game Boy costs me $1. So I'll increase the price of that Game Boy by like $5 or something like that, right? But that's going to be a couple things that we would do in this scenario. So I was waiting for these to arrive so that I could ship them, and it's actually pretty awesome because they come in this like pre-wrapping of 4, which is amazing because then I can just like put them in the, I can't really do that. I mean, it would be nice if you could keep it in the plastic coating because then you don't have the electricity going through the battery, which means that the corrosion isn't going to happen because corrosion comes from a battery being plugged in over a long, long period of time. If the battery is not plugged in, then it's much, much less prone to corrosion, right? So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so I got to do that. I guess what's my next step? It really should be to make the eBay listing. I guess that would be the thing. Okay. Yeah, I need to learn more about a resale certificate. Because there's some places where you get a retail certificate, and then there's other places where you just have to sign up to pay sales and use tax, and that basically is your retail certificate. It's complicated because in each state it's different. Yeah, there's a lot about that kind of stuff I need to learn more about. So now what I'm going to do is go to my eBay, because I need a starting point, right? So I need to make a listing. So it's almost always better to start from something someone else has done instead of do everything from scratch, right? Especially with eBay listings. So what I'm going to do now is I'm looking for a Game Boy that's been modded, or a listing for a modded Game Boy that has variations in it already. And then I'm basically just going to click Sell Similar, so it populates everything with whatever that seller put, and then I'm going to change all the information there. But that way I don't have to start from scratch, right? So we're going to search for DMG-01, which is the model number of these Game Boys. And then we're going to go DMG-01 mod. Okay. So now we need to find one of the backlit ones. Backlights. So there's a lot of people just selling the backlights, but that's not what I want. I want one with the backlight installed. Wow, 67. Interesting. That's another thing as well with these Game Boys. There's a particular website that I get all of the modding stuff from, so I could sell those products and dropship them. And I haven't looked into doing that too much, but it's something I definitely want to look into more. Because another concept I can play with here is that I can put pictures of the Game Boys in all of my eBay listings. So I can have 100,000 links to just one specific listing throughout all of my other listings. And that's going to increase the traffic a little bit just because of the sheer volume of that. That's something that I've never experimented before because like it doesn't make too much sense to put all of that towards one product because it's just one listing, right? But in this case, it would be more profitable. So that'll be interesting. But now I'm just looking for one of these listings. But I have to be a bit picky because I have to find one that's replenishing. So not just a one-time sale. Here we go. There we go. This person sells them for 110. Awesome. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click have one to sell, sell now. And now we have the seller's title, but we want to change that. So Nintendo original Game Boy. Game Boy DMG-01. Custom backlight mod and more. Original Game Boy D01. I feel like I'm forgetting something here. It doesn't matter. We can always change the title later. Sometimes it's really important to just do something and move on. Even though you didn't do it at your absolute best, you can always visit it back later, and you may have a better opportunity to do that later than to do it right now, right? So that's an instance of what I'm doing at the moment. Because really, I need a listing to exist, because then I can continuously improve it. But if it doesn't exist yet, it's not building up search history, right? So that's important. I don't know what to do about UPC, because I don't think Game Boys have a UPC, but we can check. Nintendo Game Boy DMG-01 UPC code. Oh wow, it does have a UPC code. It's got a lot of zeros in it. Cool. Bum bum ba bum. Hey, and it even identified, it pulled up the stock photo of it being a Game Boy. Oh, it's a catalog. What if I could get the buy box for this? See, that is something that I might actually try and do, because I'm in a position where I have a lot of things in my favor that give me a bit of an unfair advantage over other people. At least regarding this Game Boy stuff. Because most Game Boy modders just kind of do it on the side. They have a full-time job that they do. You know, I have loads of time. And also I can get traffic from the YouTube channel and from all of my other listings, which gives me like 2 kind of more advantages. So that could be interesting, definitely. Maybe I will benefit from this buy box stuff. Alright, so now what we need to do, the main thing is that I need to create variations for this product. And in doing so, it looks like it removes the catalog link. So, whatever, that's fine. I'll have to experiment more with that in the future. Okay, I'm looking back at the chat again. Edwin says, do you know if listing an item from the scratch would have a lower ranking than if we list through the sell similar item link? Yes, that's what I just did, was use that sell similar item link. That's honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I know that some people will tell you that using sell similar gets more search history. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I can talk. Let me write that down actually, because every Friday I meet with an eBay mastermind group, and none of them are dropshippers, so they're all like traditional eBay people, so they know a lot about like eBay's inner workings and that kind of thing. So let me write that down, and then I'll bring that up tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, when I have that conversation with them, right? So. So similar. Does using sell similar increase traffic? Sweet. Alright, now I just gotta make sure I leave this cardboard here. I'll probably remember. Okay, so then seeing if there's anything else. Cool, awesome, no more questions, that's great. So I like this because I realized when I made the title answering questions, people asked a lot more questions, but I didn't want to just answer questions. I want to talk about Game Boy stuff. So I'm back into doing that. But it's kind of like I haven't gotten used to this yet. So like narrating and working, like it's something I've done a lot, but it's definitely like it's hard for me to just relax and then be like, okay, just gonna do my work. There'll be some questions. I'll respond to the questions. And maybe I should do that. I should try and slow down a little bit. Because I get excited in videos, right? I get a little giddy. And then it's like the second I know it's recording, it's like a switch. But sometimes it makes it easier to lose my train of thought and all that kind of stuff, right? Alright, Nikki says, is it possible to dropship without starting official freelance business? Yeah, definitely. You can't scale without having a business, but you can start without one. That's fine. You just need a PayPal account, really. PayPal and eBay. Having a bank account will help, definitely. But you don't technically need one. But yeah, you can. I dropped something. What did I drop? Where's the puppy? There's a puppy somewhere. Alright. Okay, so we have our listing. And now what I'm doing is adding the attributes. I wish I could just show you, like, I wish I could be live streaming, but then just like snap my fingers and it would be showing you the screen. Because I'm so used to recording videos where you see the screen. But I can't do that right now. So, what attributes are we going to pick? Alright, so there's two parts of a variation. There's the attribute and then the option. So an attribute would be like color, and then an option would be red, blue, green, white, that kind of thing. So what we're going to do is add the first attribute, which is going to be backlight. The options for backlight are no backlight, then white backlight, blue backlight, pink backlight, red backlight, what other colors? Yellow? I don't actually remember. Give me a second. They're all right here. We have green, red, pink, orange, blue. I feel like I'm missing one though. Pink, blue, white, red, orange. Orange backlight. The orange ones don't look really good, but I have them in inventory, so I should sell them. Orange, red. I'm still missing one, because that's only 5, and there's 6. Orange, red, pink, blue. I never typed green. There we go. Green backlight. Funny with the Gameboys is that they originally had like a green screen. So if you have, because they don't have color, right? If you have a white backlight, it looks less like the original than with a green screen, which is kind of funny. But I still use the white ones because I like how it looks more. Okay, so there can be no backlight, or there can be these available colors. And that's all the possible options for a backlight. So then we're going to add another attribute. And the next attribute is going to be batteries, right? Batteries. We can either have no batteries. We can have AA batteries. And we can have rechargeable batteries. And then we can have rechargeable with charger. I want to identify as many products as possible that aren't actually new products. They're just reusing stuff I already have available to get that created Game Boy, right? So I'll be able to get rechargers from Amazon, and some people use Amazon Basics is a big thing. So like, there's gonna be people who already have that, and the charger makes it much more expensive. So I can have one that's just rechargeable batteries, or one that like comes with the charger. I'm still not sure what to do exactly about that, because maybe I should just include them both, but it doesn't matter. I can figure that out later. Okay, so we have, what other attributes? We can have a maximum of 5 attributes. So we have backlight, batteries. Technically, there's also other colors of Game Boy available, but I don't have any of those right now. So I also don't know if I want to give them that option, but I think I will. So we're gonna add color, case color, and then the options for this are gray, black, red, and green. I think that's all available Game Boy colors for first generation, but let me check real quick. DMG-01 available colors. Bum bum. Image. See, I like searches like this because I can just do that and then go to the image page and then see if I can see any colors there really quickly. Oh, there's the clear one. That's right. There's a clear one and there's a yellow one. Those are the two I forgot. And then, of course, there's custom ones as well, but yellow. Was there actually a yellow one, or is that just custom? Yellow original Game Boy. Okay, yeah, yellow does exist. Alright. Yellow and clear. I'm adding all these options, but I only have one of them. Backlight, batteries, case color, and then I think that's all we're going to do for now. That should be pretty much it. Let me double check and make sure the stream's still okay. My phone, yeah, it's still doing a thing. Alright, cool. Oh, okay. Look at chat again. Nikki says, when I pay for eBay store, do I have more listings than on personal account, or is the limitation same for someone just starting? No, your account limits on eBay are completely separate from any store purchases that you make. Just because you buy a bigger store purchase does not mean that your account will allow you to post that many items. Okay? And A-Man is asking, have I or will I sell on Amazon? I probably will at some point in my life. My mother actually and her boyfriend do Amazon FBA. And this is something that is interesting because they got into this like a year ago, and they're actually like, they do it now. And I don't know the details of that, but at some point there's going to be a period of time on my YouTube channel where I'm spending more time with them and talking about what they do and that kind of stuff. But there's videos of my mom. She's been in like 3 or 4 videos. She's amazing, like absolutely amazing person. Really cool. I'm super lucky. Alright, what else? Any other attributes? We have the backlight, the batteries, the case color. Also, the screen, technically, but so original Game Boys come with like this kind of crappy plastic screen, and I like to replace them with a full glass screen. I could give them the option of not having the glass screen, but I really like this style. I feel like it's like, oh, it makes it easy to identify if I've modded the Game Boy. Obviously, other people do that. Like, other people use black glass screens. But I really do like changing the black screen, changing it to a black screen every time, because I just genuinely think it looks better, and it's more professional to have like a glass screen versus a like easy to scratch plastic screen that pops off, right? So I'm not going to give them that option. I should be good with just backlight, batteries, and case color. And now I click continue. Okay. So this is the part that's confusing to me, because it calculates every possible variation that's available, every possible one, based on what you allow, on the things that you provide, right? So it's telling me that there are 168 different combinations, which makes sense because that's math, right? But that's kind of intense. I haven't been able to fully wrap my head around this. And then, I guess in order, because you have to determine, okay, do you want them to be able to pick this combination, or do you not want it to be possible, right? So that's the part that I'm at right now, is where it shows me a screen of the 168 possible combinations, and then I have the option of deleting them, adding a UPC code that's unique to each one, etc. So I can actually make a UPC code for the basic one. So backlight, no batteries, gray. Original, nope, stop that. Maybe there are more UPC codes. Game Boy DMG-01. What if I just search for DMG? Lots of add-ons for the game, but not... What about original Nintendo Game Boy? Wow, it's actually kind of hard to find. Okay. Well, I got one UPC earlier. Nintendo Game Boy. We're going to go with that. Paste that in here. Okay, so this is no backlight, no batteries in gray. No backlight, no batteries in black. No backlight, no batteries in red. No backlight, no batteries in green. No backlight, no batteries in yellow. No backlight, no batteries in clear. And then we have everything, but with or without batteries. Okay. Now we're getting to the rechargeable batteries, and at this point, anything with no backlight has the same UPC code. But nothing else is gonna have a UPC code. Okay. I gotta get rid of the variations that I don't want to exist. So, rechargeable batteries. Yeah, we want all of these available. Good. And then we're getting to white backlight. Okay, so enter quantity. Enter quantity. Okay. I'm kind of like learning to navigate this as we go here. Because I want to make the variations available, but set their stock to 0. So the person can't buy them because I don't have them yet, but I will in the future. Whereas the other parts of the listing will have stock, right? And Ferdov says, Jack, I'm from London and I'm dropshipping here in the UK. Can your courses help me? Yeah, it depends what you're trying to do, honestly. My course, the dropshipping course, isn't a step-by-step guide to set up a dropshipping business. My understanding is that there's tons of those available, and it's kind of, I didn't feel that it would add any value. to the industry for me to just make another one of those courses. So the course is more of like a consolidation of most of the things that I've learned about dropshipping. So it's more like, imagine that you took a course in school studying what dropshipping is and how people do it and the different strategies that people use. That is what the course is about. So if you're interested in dropshipping, it is relevant to you. Because it's not teaching you a specific system that works in a specific place, it's generally educating you about how people become profitable, how they scale their businesses, how they go through all of that, like all of that kind of stuff. Okay? What's up, DLS Game Guides? What's your question? I'm just gonna wait. I'll check it back in a second. Gonna keep looking at these variations. Alright. So I should set all of the available quantities to 0 for everything that is not a gray Game Boy. I can only sell gray Game Boys at the moment because those are the only ones that I have. But once a couple of these sell, then I buy more Game Boys, and then those sell, and then I buy more and more. Yeah, whatever. Alright, so let's do this variation page. I've set everything to a quantity of 0. Now I just need to isolate only the gray which we can do by sorting it by color and then checking all of the gray instead of going through the whole list and checking every like 12th listing. I'll look at your question in a minute, man. I'm just gonna finish this one task. Boom, boom. Ah! Do, 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 do. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum. Yeah! Alright, we did all of those. So now I need to change all of those available quantities to 1. Ooh, I like this. You can like bulk edit all of the possible variations. So once this listing is done, there will technically be 168 different kinds of Game Boys that you can make, that you can buy from it. Isn't that crazy? Like, it's not even true because, I mean, there's just 168 different combinations that's kind of like there's 168 unique products. But really, it's just from a couple different options. But when you have like 3 different options, 4 different options, 5 different options, that makes hundreds of different potentials, right? It's cool. Alright, chat time. Okay, so DLS Game Studios says, when I try to bulk list from Walmart, DHgate, Eats, etc., 95% of the time it says wasn't able to parse item, bad API documentation, or other errors. The first time I did this bulk listing, I was able to get it to work. I just wasn't getting sales. So first off, I have to start with my bulk listing disclaimer. You have to be very careful. Don't expect that you can just post a bunch of products and you're going to magically get sales. View bulk as something that you can do for research, something as you can do to test the waters, something you can use as a utility. Maybe even you bulk post 1,000 items, and then you see the couple hundred that get results, and then you optimize those. You know, start with bulk, test the waters, use bulk as a utility. Don't just bulk post, okay? I can do that because of the YouTube channel and other stuff. So I'm just saying that disclaimer, okay? You can't just post a bunch of stuff willy-nilly and earn money. I don't think that you think that, but I just wanted to make that clear to anybody else. And then now, so it depends what you are using. what software you're using, really. It sounds like you're using Hydra Lister, and Hydra Lister the past 4 days or 3 days has been having some like big problems, partially caused by me and some other people. So my understanding is that at the same time, like 5 or 6 individuals tried to post roughly 100,000 items, and by the same time I mean within a period of like 48 hours. And so that completely overloaded Hydra servers. So now they're like placing limitations and that kind of thing. One thing that's important to understand about bulk posting is that like it's very easy to get to a point where you're actually losing the lister money if you're bulk posting. If you're working with thousands, then that's not happening. But the second you get to like high tens of thousands, then the lister is actually losing money from your usage of the tool, unless you're paying hundreds of dollars for it, if that makes sense. But that's separate. So what are you trying to accomplish in particular? Like, I don't know anything about your history. I don't know if you're a seasoned dropshipper trying to experiment with bulk. I don't know. Like, I need to know kind of more about you before I can give you kind of better advice about it, if that makes sense. Maybe there's some specific setting you have wrong or something. But just let me know, and then I'll look back at the comments, because there's like kind of a delay. I'm talking about this now, but you don't see this for like a couple minutes or 30 seconds or something, right? So I'm going to move on to something else. Alright, so I've identified all of the gray listings that are going to be in stock. This means there are like, how many different possibilities? Gray. Doesn't matter right now. Oh, I also have to disable the... Here we go. I have to disable the listings for the rechargeable batteries because I don't have those yet. Here we go. So we're only going to do gray Gameboys. And now we're going to disable everything that has rechargeable batteries. I have yet to purchase those. Rechargeable, 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 rechargeable. Boom, 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 boom. Rechargeable. Okay. Looks like that's everything. I think. Gray, rechargeable, gray, and red. Alright, perfect. So now we go back to quantity, scroll all the way up, enter quantity, and we're setting all of these to 0. Save. Okay, now I look at the comments. DLS Game Guide says, I really wanted to do that free interview thing because I've got a lot of info to talk about because you seem pretty knowledgeable. Cool. So, you can do the interview thing. Anybody can. And it's not just interviews. I realize, like, interviews are too intimidating for some people. And I don't want to just interview people. Basically, like, I want most of the content on my channel to include another individual in some way. So obviously I'm not, I guess it's debatable about that, because I'm interacting with you guys right now, so you're kind of included in this video. I kind of think that as a YouTuber, you should focus on interactions with other individuals in order to better, like, develop your channel. But yeah, anybody can do them, man. Just go to the link, and then you can pick either it's an interview or a topic discussion or a question and answer. So that's pretty much just 3 different possible forms that the call will take in an interview about a certain subject. and you share your opinion, I share my opinion, we move to a next thing, you share an opinion, I share an opinion. It's like both of us talking, right? So having that established, knowing which one of those going into the call helps me make the video better, right? Because a lot of people don't have too much experience being on video, but some people have tons of experience being on video. And sometimes, like, I don't know anything about the person who registers. And the other day, one of the people who registered, like, it was this guy sitting outside of a Safeway selling music and stuff. And it was actually, honestly, a really cool conversation. Like, he was literally on his iPhone doing the interview while he was, like, trying to sell R&B records in front of a grocery store. And it was just, like, it was so confusing to me. I was like, oh, wow, how did you even get my call? This is crazy. Unfortunately, I couldn't publish that because it was also raining. So the audio was, like, wretched. Like, it was a bit painful for me to listen to. And there was nothing the guy could do. I mean, like, he could try and go inside, but it was more just like, okay, I'm talking to this guy for a little bit, and some point in the future we'll do an actual interview because he's really interesting. So that was cool. But oh yeah, I see what you're saying, DLS. So yeah, that's kind of the catch. The reason that the calls are free is because I benefit from having more YouTube content, and that makes it worth my time. I can't just have free Skype calls with people just because, like, I mean, I'm not necessarily against doing that, but in my opinion, like, if I'm going to spend an hour helping somebody, it should be in a way where other people can benefit. When I just talk to one person and the video isn't recorded, then they get most of that benefit. Me as well, I always benefit from all this, right? But, like, that's why, for me, it's really important to be able to publish the video. And that's ultimately, like, why I'm doing the Calendly thing, is because it makes it really easy to just get a stream of people who are willing to be recorded when I talk to them. Because that's honestly quite important to me. I firmly believe that if you put yourself out there and you expose yourself to the world, then you can increase your quality of life much, much faster than otherwise. That being said, some people have a reputation and they can't show their face, right? That's a reality for some people. So, all right. So let me grab. Is the vid frozen again? Yeah. Okay. Ho-ho, we're back. Awesome. So every time my computer or my phone battery gets low, the battery low message pops up, and then I have to go click it, and it freezes the video for the feed, which is really irritating. I just wouldn't do that. I also wish it wouldn't do that when someone calls me, but again, I need to, 1, charge my phone, and 2, put my phone in airplane mode, and that would eliminate both of these problems. So yeah, I shouldn't really complain, right? All right, let's move forward with this. So we've created all of the possible variations, but now we need all of these photos. Jeez. Alright, that's going to be fun. That's a whole different endeavor. See, I've gotten to this point multiple times, and then I just get overwhelmed because I have to upload so many photos. So what I need to do is I need to get a piece of paper. I often have to, like, separate the digital stuff in order to conceptualize it better. If I'm just working on a laptop and I don't have some kind of physical form of something, it's harder for my brain to, like, wrap around the concept. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper. I didn't have any paper, but I have this big box. So I'm just going to write on this big box. Okay, we got a big box here. So I can just put this in a corner. I'm not going to lose this box. If I throw it away, I'll look at it probably. Alright, so what I'm going to need is photos. I need photos of the different items here. But why am I making a bunch of photos for stuff I don't have yet, when the goal is to get a listing posted so that it can start aggregating search, right? What I need to do actually is determine if I can edit or revise a variation listing and add variations to the listing. Because if your listing is not a variation and you try and revise it, you can't make it a variation at that point. It has to start as a variation listing, right? So I don't know anything about variation listings really. I don't know about editing them. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go find one of my listings that is a variation, which is for this, Revlon Youth FX. Revlon Youth FX. And we're just going to look for my listing. La-di-da, la-di-da. Revlon Youth. Okay. Here we go. It's funny, I bought all these, right? And then I actually dropship sell them as well, which is funny. Okay, we're gonna click on edit. Edit. Can we change number of variations, type? We can click edit. We can add photos. Oh, awesome. Okay, so I can add as many variations as I want. Well, aside from the limit. But the point is that I have to create the listing in the first place with variations. So then, once that's done, then I can revise the variations later, right? So instead of making it this complicated, I've overstepped myself a bit. I'm going to restart. And, okay, so I'm clicking sell now, making a new listing. But how do I make this as simple as possible? But we need some variations. What do I have available right now? I have regular Game Boy, Game Boy with glass screen, Game Boy with mod, and then either no batteries or batteries. Yeah, okay, cool. So we're gonna go Nintendo, oh, whoops. Boom, here we go. Original Game Boy Gray. The original Nintendo Game Boy Gray custom backlight. And more. Original Nintendo Game Boy Gray custom backlight and more available. More options. I might even have subtitles on this listing, to be honest. We'll see. Not right now, but later. Okay, we're going to make a category called Backlit Nintendo Game Boys in my store. And now we're going to the Create Variations page. And here we're going to keep it simple this time. So, our first attribute is going to be style. We're going to be really basic right now. We don't want tons of different combinations because then I have to upload photos for all of those different combinations, and we don't want that. So it's just going to be style and batteries. Okay. And then for the options for style, we have original, or no backlight, or original, how do I name it? Just no backlight? Yeah, no backlight, and we have no backlight, glass screen, then we have white backlight, green backlight. Well, okay, we do have all these different colored backlights, but at the moment, I only have 3 white backlights installed. So I could easily make photos about all of this stuff. So I think for now, I'm not going to include all the different colors, because ultimately, I need to have this listing made today so that it can then grow. If it's not made, it can't grow. I can always revise it and keep fixing it later, but if it doesn't exist yet, it's not growing, right? So, white backlight, no backlight, glass screen, and then no backlight. And then we have batteries. You can either have no batteries or AA batteries. Batteries included. Batteries included. Okay? And for anyone worried about shipping batteries, I've looked into this, and in this situation, as long as the batteries are inside the Game Boy, then I can ship them. If they're outside of the Game Boy, I'm not allowed to ship them. I'm gonna check this again real quick. We still recording? Yeah, still going. Cool, cool. Okay, good. So now we should only have, okay, now we only have 6 possible variations. That's much easier to work with, right? But in the future, we will have like 200 different possibilities. Just not yet. Okay. And so our different possible options are no backlight and no batteries, which would be, do I even have one assembled? I don't actually have a basic Game Boy right now. They're all disassembled. But it would look like that. And then the next option is that, but with a glass screen, which would look like that. See, the screen's black, whereas this one is gray. That's the only difference. This one doesn't have a backlight. And you can actually tell because of the color of the screen. If you look at a backlit Game Boy, the screen's really dark, right? Whereas this, basically, this has a mirror, or sorry, the original Game Boy had a mirror that would reflect light in the environment back, and that's what enabled you to see the pixels. Whereas the modified ones have a backlight instead of a mirror, which is a much more efficient way to produce light to see the pixels, right? Alright, so let's look at the chat again, see what's going on. Alright, bum bum bum. Guys, be nice to each other in the chat. Bum 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 bum. You guys are silly. I was all excited because I was like, oh look, there's a bunch of new questions. But it's a bunch of people, or 2 people, going back and forth, having a spat. I'm just going to keep going about my Game Boy stuff. Okay, what's next? Hey, I can put in the prices. Okay, so how much is no backlight and no batteries going to cost me? Well, my cost to acquire that is $30. I think a good starting point for this listing is probably like 60. because I'm going to pretty heavily use like promoted listings and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to go with 60. And then no backlight but batteries included will be 70. And then no backlight but glass screen will be 80. Oh wow, this is just going to go up like really easily. Cool. Awesome. Each increment is $10. That works out really well for the moment. So it starts at 60 bucks. For 60 bucks, you get no backlight, no batteries, free shipping, all that stuff. And then 110 bucks, you get white backlight and all the batteries. Cool. So now I need enter in these UPC codes. I'm hoping they can all be the same. We'll see though. And the SKU is, I need like to make my own custom SKUs for all this stuff. I'll do that at some point. Okay. Oh, we're gonna have a problem, aren't we? Because I gotta use that to take photos. But you guys are on that. What else? Can I do anything else with these variations? Yeah, I can make the... I need to convert... Okay, this I'm going to take pictures of, and then I'm going to take it apart, and then take pictures of it again. So I won't technically have both products available, but if one gets ordered, everything's fine. And what's going to be confusing is keeping track of stock here. It's going to be weird. Because it's going to think that no backlight with batteries and no backlight without batteries are different, even though technically it's all based on the Gameboys stock, right? So I'm going to have to manually change this stuff. And our available quantity, yeah, for now it's just one of everything. Alright, well guys, I think that's pretty much it. What's up, Anas? How you doing? I'm sorry that the volume's not very good, Jeffrey. I apologize. It's probably because the phone's so far away. Frank G says, how much are Gameboys going for nowadays? So, I sell the modded ones for like 100 a pop. But you can get a Game Boy for 30 bucks. That is in like good condition. A perfect refurbished Game Boy will cost you between $50 and $70, depending on who you buy it from. So, and there's some people who like do like they take out all of the different parts and do all that. Yeah, Luxury Card Store says I can upload a placeholder until I have a photo, and that's a good point. But at the same time, like, I could also just not make it available yet, and then just add it, you know? Because it doesn't really matter. It's not like it benefits a whole lot by having a bunch of available options, and then they can't pick them, right? Because then they can't interact with like 90% of the listing. It's like everything's out of stock. I'm not putting in any emulators. No, modded would just be like backlit in this case. So that, well, there's a couple different mods you can perform, but so okay, I'll explain most of the main mods for a Game Boy. First one is the backlight. That's the main one. That allows you to do a thingy, right? Here we go. I'll show you. Show you a thingy. Look at that. There's light. Woo, light! That's the main mod. In addition to that, there's something called a bivert mod. And this bases off the premise that, for some reason, I don't know if you know anything about the refraction of light, that in all LCD screens, like computers as well, there's this thing called a polarizer, which is like a piece of plastic that inverts light by like 90 degrees. It's kind of hard to explain without showing you, and I don't have any, like, I have bare polarizers right here. And I guess I could show you guys my laptop, right? Because, yeah. Okay, here we go. I'll show you what happens. I just gotta unplug everything. This might screw everything up. Oh, wait, no, because that's the stream. Alright. So, alright. We still good? I'm just gonna put this up here. Okay, so you can see that. This thing in my hand is a polarizer. It looks like a black square, right? But then we rotate it, and it becomes clear. Rotate it. See? What it's doing is refracting the light. It's really weird, right? Like, isn't that bizarre? It's not magic. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Weird. But all LCD screens have one or two of these, a couple of these sometimes. And so basically, what you can do, you noticed how when I turned it, it went from white to black, right? So you have one of these, and then you invert digitally, you invert all of the colors that the Game Boy is showing you, so that all the blacks become whites and the whites become blacks. And you do that by adding this little chip inside called a bivert mod. And then you add another film that flips the image again. And the act of doing this makes the pixels sharper and look more clear. It makes it look like a higher resolution image, even though it's not. It's just kind of like a workaround. Because these were made when LCD technology was really, really, really primitive, right? Now, it's like night and day, right? So that's the main mods, is that mod and the bivert mod and the backlight mod. But there's a bunch of other ones you can do. Like, if you've seen them before, there's some Game Boys that have these little, like, two things sticking out the top. And that's for, like, stereo sound. So that you can have a right and a left speaker plugged in. I personally don't completely understand why that is ideal. It's like, because I'm interested in like the mass production of backlit modded Game Boys, not so much the customized modded Game Boys. There's a whole scene of people who do custom Game Boys, like that they hand paint every single one. I don't like that. I want to make a pile of 100 Game Boys and then have to sell them. Like, that's how my fun works, if that makes sense. Alright, so Ahmad says, hello bro, can I do live with you to talk about stuff? So, at some point, I am going to be doing, like, I don't know if you guys know about Grind Camp, that kind of thing. Which is, obviously, I'm not involved with that anymore. But the premise is that a bunch of people from a bunch of different places go and live in one place and live together for 30 days, that kind of thing. That's something that I definitely want to do in the future. At the moment, I don't really have some kind of way to meet in person, really, unless I'm doing a meetup. But, you know, you can, like, schedule a video with me, as long as you're comfortable with the fact that the video gets recorded. Check in the description, and there should be a Calendly link. It might not be in this description because this is a live stream, and I don't know if I've updated the defaults. I don't think I have. But if you look in some of the, like the other video I posted today about QuickBooks and taxes, if you look in that video, then there should be a link in the top to schedule time with me. So you can do that from anywhere in the world. But I don't really have any way to meet in person at the moment. And yeah, I'm just modding original Game Boys. And the reason for that is because, one, they're easy to mod. They have a lot of space that you can work with. And two, they're super, super, super easy to get, and they're cheap. And there were tons of them made. There are more original Game Boys than there are Game Boy Pockets, Game Boy Colors, and Game Boy Advances. The original Game Boy was hugely popular, and it was kind of like a big, big, big event. It was unusual. And actually, I don't know if it also includes Game Boy Advances, but to give you some perspective, if you look at the Game Boy's life cycle, so the first generation Game Boy, like this one, all the way up until before the DS, so the last Game Boy, which I guess would be the SP, I think, because it went Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Light, technically only in Japan, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy SP. So if you account for all of those, you have almost as many units produced as the PlayStation 2, which was the most produced console or gaming device of all time, with over 150 million units created around the world. So all the Game Boys add up to about to be equal than that, with the majority, not most of, but if you consider the fact that the first generation Game Boy is only one of like 6 generations, it's like half of those were the first generation Game Boy. The first generation Game Boy was the most produced. I don't know if that's true compared to like DS's and that kind of thing. I'm not sure, but there's an extensive history with it, right? Frank says he tried to set up the link through Calendly, but it was a mission to set up. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like, if you go to the Calendly link, you don't need to make an account. You just say, you click, and then you click an available time slot, and then you answer some questions like your name, your email, and then you click enter. Like, I can't really think of how that would be easier. Like, you don't need any credentials. Literally anybody in the world can log in. Maybe your base language isn't English, so it's a bit confusing. I could see that being a problem. But in general, it's relatively simple. I'm sorry if you had trouble with it. And Ahmad says, I have a problem to find hot items to sell them on eBay. Yeah, that's like the problem everybody has. Trying to get products is kind of tricky, definitely. I encourage you to use like software research. If you want to check out ZikAnalytics, that's a good tool. I'll be doing a tour with the creator of that soon. I haven't scheduled it yet, but that'll happen at some point. So, and actually, I gotta go. I'm getting really tired. I've been talking constantly. It's funny when people in my real life, like, who know me in person, not from my YouTube channel, because it's quite separate, right? Like, people who know me on YouTube generally don't know me in real life, and people who know me in real life, like, know that I'm a YouTuber, but don't, like, really watch my videos. And it's definitely being in this kind of mode where you're narrating everything and constantly talking about it. Let's just say, like, I'm not a talkative person. So I seem that way in my videos because I'm always talking, but when it comes to like in-person dynamics, like it takes energy for me to talk. So I get tired of talking, very much so. Especially like doing this video. Now, like if I hang out with a friend, I'm probably gonna be a little bit quiet just because I've talked a lot already, you know, so I'm more open to listening to other people and trying to get other people to talk. But that being said, I know some people, and like Eric, for example, my roommate and one of the other people who work, one of the other systematical people, talking to him is like breathing. Like, it's like takes no energy. It's just complete train of thought. It's crazy. It's not like that for me. I definitely get tired pretty quickly. Like, really quickly sometimes. But yeah. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, okay? Ciao! Ugh.